I'm just gonna wait for you guys to tune in. Come on in, everyone. Good morning. One of my computers is acting crazy today, so if you're on Facebook and I disappear, suddenly come on to Instagram. Same for those of you on YouTube because I don't know what's going on with my computer. It's just been going on and off. So hopefully it stays on throughout the live. Good morning, everyone. Let me just introduce myself. I want to get right into it. My name is Aisha Chidole. I'm an immigration attorney. I represent clients all over the United States with the immigration matters. So your location is not a problem. We've got an office in Atlanta and in Florida, but again, we represent clients all over. Good morning to all of you. I can see you guys. Good morning, everyone. Happy New Year. This is my first time. This is my first time saying good morning to you this year. And the person that asked about the Haitian with Biden program, I'm going to get to that. It's one of the things I'm going to be talking about today. For those of you who would like to call me, my number is 407-995-6567. You can also send a WhatsApp message to 404-333-8751. So before I get started, I'm sure that for those of you who have been watching me for a while, you can attest to the fact that I always tell you guys, when you qualify for something that you need to apply, it doesn't matter who's in office or whatever it is you think, just because you never know what can change. I mean, we're literally on day 10 of 2023, and we have like 3 massive changes in the last, 2 weeks that have happened. I talk about this all the time. A lot of politicians use immigration as a political pawn, if you would, where lots of things change when it's time to election season, when people announce that they're doing an election, or whatever the case may be, just to make sure that they're getting votes from, both sides. So it's really important that you basically stop sitting on stuff when you qualify for stuff and you apply for it. I know I talked about the public charge rule the last time, and if you guys didn't hear me talk about that, I'm sure if you scroll down my timeline, you will find a video. Today, I'm going to be focusing on 2 other new rules, which you should have already heard about, which is basically one that, potentially immigration fees are going up massively. That's the USCIS filing fees. And also, I'm going to be talking about the humanitarian parole for certain groups of people. Someone is asking for the phone number. Just give me a second to type it in here because I can't talk and type at the same time, or I'll type in the wrong number. So just give me a second. In the meantime, you can post your questions, and I will try to answer them once I finish. Oh, WhatsApp 404. All right, let me try and pin the number. Okay, so that's my number on there. Tyler Dan says you haven't been on live since forever. Well, I was on vacation, but I was on live last week, Tuesday. Okay, so the first thing is that immigration fees are potentially going up, and they're going up massively. A lot of the reason why they're claiming, they're increasing the fees is because, one, they're saying that basically they're understaffed and backlogged, and that because of COVID, they had to basically put a hold on hiring because obviously they were so backlogged, so they were not getting applications. And so from a revenue standpoint, they're like 40% down. So they need to basically make money from immigrants somehow. So typically when they announce new fees, what happens is it's usually put out to the public to comment. And, once they put that to the public to comment, if there's enough outrage about the cost, then they may not do the increase, or maybe they will reduce it. I want to talk specifically about people who, like for instance, we do a lot of humanitarian-based cases. A lot of times, those filings are things that it cannot be filed online. You have to do paper filing, and the fees are basically going up from $1,225 to $2,800 and change. So that is a huge jump. So while we're hoping that in the next 60 days that this increase doesn't happen, you just want to prepare for that happening. And if you've been sitting on this is a good time as any to file, because you don't know honestly what can change next week or the week after, because every month something is changing right now. And so, for a lot of us, this period puts us on edge when it comes to almost election season, because you just don't know what's going to happen. That's the first thing. So obviously, I don't have it on memory, all the different filing fees, but basically fees are going up for naturalization, conditional removal, even those of you filing asylum, like the fees are going up for everyone. So just make sure that you put in your application. So the second thing I wanted to talk about is President Biden's announcement that he made last week, basically, for Haitians, Cubans, Nicaraguans. Okay, so this is about humanitarian parole. Oh my gosh. So let's see what's going on. My dad is calling me, and so it's messing up my live. If you guys can still see me on Instagram, let me know. Let me see if I can put myself in airplane mode. Can you guys hear me on Instagram? Just give me a second to put myself in airplane mode. Okay, let's see if this will still work. Can you guys see me? Comment if you're on Instagram and you can still see me or hear me. Okay, do you hear me? Good. So you guys are hearing me. It's like my dad never calls me at this time in the morning. So not really sure why he's calling me so early. But anyway, as I was saying, let's talk about the humanitarian parole. So basically, the idea behind this, is that there is a border crisis, and basically there are a lot of undocumented people coming to the border. And one way for the current president to make sure that he's basically satisfying both sides of the fence is that, okay, we're going to reduce that and instead allow people to come here legally. And the way that we're going to do that is we're going to basically give a cap and a limit and an opportunity for them in those countries who are having these crises to apply. So Haitians, Cubans, Nicaraguans, and then Venezuelans as well. But so this is basically what the rules are. So I just have it on paper, so I'm just going to be reading it out. So basically, there is now going to be a cap of 30,000 people who live in these countries, and are citizens of these countries and are outside of the United States. They are going to have an opportunity to come into the United States, legally. If one, they can get a sponsor to sponsor them into the United States. They call them sponsor or supporters. So let's explain that. So a sponsor, Sophia is saying she can't hear me. I hope the rest of you guys can hear me. Sophia, you might need to just X out and then X back in. I apologize for that. That's my phone ringing, and so it messes me up. So you guys can hear me? Can anyone else hear me? Anyway, I'm gonna keep going, and then if everybody else is like they can't hear me, then I'll log off and log back in. So in order for you to sponsor someone from these 4 countries, I see somebody asking, are Jamaicans included? No, Jamaicans are not included. It is literally just the countries that I just mentioned right now. In order for someone to sponsor you, they have to be a U.S. citizen, a lawful permanent resident, or someone that holds a lawful status. So if you have TPS and your TPS is active, you can also sponsor someone. So, especially for those of you who are from Haiti and you already have TPS and your TPS is active, even though TPS ends in February, but I'm pretty sure there'll be re-registration, you will be able to sponsor someone, right? So how does this work? The sponsors first here in the United States, the sponsor must be in the United States. Secondly, the sponsor has to fill out a form basically agreeing to be a supporter, or they're calling it a supporter, but you guys get what I'm saying, a sponsor. And basically you have to provide a declaration of financial support. So What makes this a little different? Edna, yes, Cameroonians have TPS, but Cameroonians, this does not apply to Cameroonians at all. So you would notice that for a lot of these people, it's for people who are able to get to the border of the United States easily. And so that's basically the idea behind this. But, Cameroon is all the way on the other side of Africa. So they're not having a crisis with Cameroonians. They're not included in this. Someone has asked me to mention the countries again. Again, it is Haiti, Cuba, Nicaragua, and Venezuela. Okay. What was I saying? You guys are making me lose my train of thought, so I'm not going to answer any question again until I finish. Okay. So how do you provide proof of financial support? So there's no income requirement. So it's not like when you petition for someone and you're like, you have to make X amount. Instead, what it is basically you just have to either present your taxes and they will make a decision based on your taxes, whether or not you can support the person, or if you don't have taxes to provide, they will also want like your bank account, like when you statement of account, when you enter the account, how much you have in the account, and all of those things, and then they would make that decision based on that. Okay. If the sponsor is approved, what happens next is that it moves on to the person they're sponsoring outside the country. Keep in mind that if you as a sponsor want to sponsor a family, you're going to have to apply for each of them, meaning you're going to need one a financial affidavit of support for each person. So even children under 18, so if it's like a mom or your brother with their children, you're going to have to apply for each of them. Okay. And then once you put in the application and they approve it, the next thing is that it's the person that is in Haiti is notified. So it's really important for you to have like a phone, like a smartphone, so that you can be an internet access. That's because, this process is done completely online for this particular thing. So for those of you who are outside the United States, it's important if you can to have a phone and basically Wi-Fi access. Same thing for those of you here who are doing the process here, right? So then once that person is notified, what they're going to basically need from that person is there's going to be they're going to need to either have at least one dose of the COVID vaccination shot, and any other necessary vaccinations, and then they can either get the second one when they get here. They're also going to be a security check once they arrive into the United States, because they have to make sure that this person is not a threat to national security or a danger to national security. So one thing I need to mention to you guys is that, because this program exists does not guarantee that you're going to get it. One, because there's a cap. There's a cap every month of 30,000 people. So if, for instance, they've reached the cap, you might not get it for that month. Doesn't mean you can't keep trying, but you might not get it. It's almost like a lottery, The second thing is you might come into the United States and they may say, basically, you cannot enter because we see all these things in your record. So again, it's not a guarantee of entry. Just like if you get a visa, it's not a guarantee of entry, but it allows you to travel to the United States, okay? And then, let's see. And then what happens when you enter to the U.S.? When you come into the U.S., you're granted parole for 2 years. So you're allowed to stay in the United States for 2 years. When you come to the United States, you'll be allowed to get a social security number and a worker's permit and employment authorization, which allows you to work. Once the 2 year expires, if it's not renewable, because we can't see into the future, we don't know 2 years from now what's going to happen. We don't know who's going to be president, what they're going to decide to do. But 2 years from now, if let's say the program has ended or there's no option to renew or whatever, they fully expect you to leave the country. If you don't leave the country at that time, then you're looking at an immediate referral for deportation or removal. Let's see, what else do I want to cover here? I see a bunch of questions, but I want to make sure that I got everything. Okay, yeah. So, and then how they do the customs and border, like when you get, so you also must buy your airfare. You also must buy your airfare and handle, of course, your travel expenses. US, yeah, you know, the US is not going to do that for you. You know, and when you come to the airport, they're going to do your biometrics and fingerprinting then, and then they're going to decide if they should basically, you know, let you in or not. If as long as you don't pose a threat, then there will be no issues. So this is a great way for those of you who are here, um, who have family members in this country, to, you know, help them or put in their application for them, just so that they also can be here, because, you know, obviously a lot of people in these countries that they have selected are facing a really tough time, which is why they're all at the border, and there's this big border crisis, and this is just a way to get them here legally. Okay, so that's that. I'm gonna answer, you know, the questions I see on here. Somebody, Jamie, says, please, can I go for my interview without my medical report? The answer is that it depends. Did you submit your medical report? Is your medical report expired? If you didn't submit your medical report, you must go to the interview with your medical report. If your medical exam report is expired, you must go to the interview with another medical exam. If you already submitted the medical and it's not expired, then you wouldn't need to take another one with you. Sophia says, how long will it be to get a work permit after you apply for VAWA? Most times, you know, I see them coming anywhere from 4 to 9 months. We've actually seen some coming in like 30 days right now, 2 weeks, 1 month, you know, 2 months, 3 months, you know, like sprinkles of those. But I'll say most people will fall around like that 4.5 months, 5.5 months. That's what we're seeing more of now. Now that they've settled in with the 2-year work permits, we're seeing more of that because there are less people filing for renewals right away. I came here new, and my girlfriend is a citizen. If I marry her with her possibly get a green, I can't even understand what you're saying. I don't have any documents and I don't have a work permit. I'm not really sure I understand what you're saying, but if you're asking if you marry your girlfriend, are you going to get a green card? Well, the answer is it depends. How did you come into the country? Did you come into the country with a visa that allows you to adjust your status? If you did, then yes. You know, if you do marry your girlfriend and it's a genuine marriage, then you can file for adjustment of status and in the process get a work permit and a social security. I think I have frozen on Facebook. Like I said, my computer is acting so crazy today. Sorry guys on Facebook, my computer is acting so crazy. Ayodele on YouTube says, do I have to leave my abusive wife after filing for VAWA, because I was told that if I continue to stay with her, my VAWA can be denied. I haven't heard of any case of anyone living with their spouse where their VAWA is denied. As long as you have a legitimate case, whether you choose to stay or whether you choose to leave, it's on you, and you cannot be denied on that basis. For a lot of people and a lot of victims, they choose to stay until they get their paperwork because they are fearful that maybe they don't have the financial means to support themselves if they leave, you know, because they depend on their spouse, you know, or whatever. So I would say definitely, you know, it's not going to affect you one way or the other. I mean, if it you know, what was I going to say? I don't remember what I was going to say. But anyway, let me answer the other questions. Why is VAWA taking so long now? And if my receipt says September 2021, how long should I be looking at? Abiota, I don't know. I don't know why it's taking so long. I can't really tell you, but I guess it's what USCIS is saying, and the reason why they're wanting to raise the filing fee, because they feel like if they raise the filing fee, they would hire more people and they will reduce the backlog. So it's, you know, double-edged sword. You know, it can either take longer or you can just pay more. But I think most people will be willing to pay more just to get their stuff done quicker, I guess. So if you filed in September 2021, you're looking at a 2-year window. It could be, when I say 2 years, it could be anywhere from 24 months to basically 30, 31 months. That's the average time for VAWA cases. So you can fall in anywhere in there. There are always going to be some people that their stuff ends up being earlier, like around like month 18, month 12. We've even seen some people in month 6 That's not the norm, but most people, 80% of people will fall between 18 to 30 months. And for everyone, it's going to be different depending on what they're looking for. Did you get an RFE? Did they need more information? To either give you your prima facie, or after your prima facie, did you get an RFE to provide more information? So, it all depends. I don't handle EB2 visas. So Mafia Italian is asking, do you have to pay for the application? I'm going to assume that you're asking me about what I just talked about, which is the humanitarian parole. No, you don't have to pay for it. It's free. I'm applying for a green card through marriage. Do I need to send my medical one time with all the forms? If you can, I would recommend that you do. In the past, I would always, I used to say, take your medical with you because, a lot of times the rules for medical, at least in the last 3 years, was changing due to, the COVID vaccine. So you end up bringing a new medical. But right now, because they're making decisions without interviews, it can help you to get a decision quicker if they're planning to make a decision without an interview for you. So it's better to send everything right away. Wait, let me read this. Someone says, Cleopatra says, what about the process where someone is filing in another country? Can they come to the US and wait for their green card? This is something that was mentioned by President Biden when running for office. You'll be surprised that many things mentioned by any presidential candidate when running for office doesn't go into effect, or it doesn't become law. I mean, it's one thing to say something, but you still have to go through Congress to pass certain things. And from a political standpoint, they're very strategic in what they choose to give executive orders to. But as of right now, that is not a rule that's on the table. As you can see right now, we don't know what's going to happen in the next, when is the next election? In the next year or two. So this is what the rules are right now. My son who lives outside the US, I want to petition for him. Can I use his expired passport? If your son lives outside the United States, he's not going to be able to come into the US with an expired passport. So you do need to renew his passport. Annie Tech says, can you change from a visitor's visa to a student visa while you're in the US? Yes, you can, but you must be in status in order for you to get an F1 visa. So if you entered into the country with a B1, B2 visa and you've overstayed your time, you won't be able to get an F1. So the transition has to be seamless. What does my financial situation have to look like in order to sponsor my fiance? Well, first of all, you have to be a US citizen in order to sponsor your fiance on a K1 visa. Secondly, you have to show that you have seen that fiance within the last 2 years. Third, from a financial standpoint, you have to at least have 100% over the poverty guideline. And that number varies depending on how many people you support. So if somebody has one child, their financial amount is going to be different from somebody who has 2 children or who has 3, and stuff like that. So it's hard to say. But when people are filing for fiancé visas, one of the things I tell them is instead think about yourselves, think about having more than 125%, because when your fiancé gets here, you still need to sponsor them for their adjustment of status to get their green card. So it's better to go with a higher number to get a realistic sense of what would make you eligible. Just to give you an example, basically, if you're considered a family of 2, meaning just you and your fiance, when your fiance gets here and you're doing her adjustment of status, it's a good idea to be making more than $23,000 or have assets that's more than that. If it's a family of 3, meaning you, your fiance that you marry, and a child, then you want to be looking at it, making it a little over 28,000, a little over 27,000, but really 28,000. You don't want to be at the cusp of any of the numbers. So that just gives you an idea. So it's different So without knowing your family situation, I can't tell you the exact amount you need to show. I was asked for a request for initial evidence. What does that mean? A request for evidence just means is the short term. The short term we call it an RFE. An RFE just means that based on what you submitted, they don't have enough information to make a decision on your case. Provide us the answers to this, and then we can use the answers or the additional evidence to make a decision. This is different from an NOID. An NOID is a notice of intent to deny. They're basically saying that with the information that we have, we believe that we should deny you unless you can basically provide proof of otherwise, either in a legal argument and in other supporting evidence. So that's the difference. You're welcome, Ruglink. Asa for real says, do you know when US will open the visa lottery for Nigerians? Probably never. I hate to tell you guys this. Listen, I'm Nigerian myself, and it's really frustrating how much, unfairly USCIS, in my opinion, treats Nigerians. So USCIS, if you're listening to this, it's not fair what you guys do to Nigerians. I feel like there's certain countries that are fairly targeted, and they really just don't cut them any slack just because for some reason everybody's a Nigerian prince. Everybody in Nigeria apparently does 419. So they just make things really difficult. And so, there was a time, that Nigerian lotteries was available. As a matter of fact, my spouse is a recipient of a Nigerian diversity lottery, years ago. But I don't see that happening anytime soon. They have a lot of other pressing things, unless something, I don't know. I don't see that happening anytime soon. All right, guys, I can only take one more question and then I have to go. Someone says, how soon after you file for a T visa can you get a work permit? You can't get a work permit with a T visa unless you get approved for a T visa. So it's as soon as you get approved. All right, guys, I'm going to save this video so you can watch it live, share it, especially if you have friends and family from Haiti, Nicaragua, Cuba, Venezuela, because this is something that's definitely very helpful to them. If I wasn't able to answer your questions, schedule a consult, 407-995-6567. You can also send a WhatsApp so we can send you the scheduling link. If you want, the number is 404-333-8751. All right, guys, have a good day. Bye.